everybody. It's Winter with the Shift Spotlight podcast. And today we are here with Lindsay Satula of Top Fox Marketing. And she can be found at topfoxmarketing.com. So, welcome to the show, Lindsay.
Thank you, Winter.
So, before we dive into what we're going to talk about today, I always like to ask, what is an interesting fact about you that people may not know?
Sure. So my husband and I love to surf in Costa Rica, and I am trying to learn Spanish. So I'm on a 926-day streak of learning Spanish in Duolingo, the language learning app.
Wow, that is a massive, massive streak. So, have you hit it every day?
Yes, every day for 926 days.
Holy cow. Well, congratulations. That's pretty awesome.
Thanks.
And so you also like to travel as well, right? Didn't you go on a trip recently?
Yes, just got back from traveling with some friends in Greece. We rode with Experience Plus Bicycle Tours. They did a private departure for us. So we had a boat and we rode bikes along the islands in the Dodecanese Grecian islands. They're the easternmost set of islands
Amazing. Amazing.
near Turkey. Yeah, it was so beautiful.
Love it. Love it. Okay. Well, at a high level, why don't you just tell us a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, so I am a CEO and founder of Top Fox Marketing. We're a full service digital marketing agency that focuses in B2B. Most of our clients are between 2 and 25 million in size, and we work best when we function as someone's fully outsourced marketing department.
So, can you tell us how you got into this journey of starting your own firm, how you became the founder and CEO? What didn't you get, or what problem were you trying to solve? How did you land here?
Yeah. Well, I always wanted to have my own business growing up, so that was always the goal eventually. And I really loved the work that I was doing, but I found that every time someone hired me to solve a problem, I like to build things. I don't like to maintain things. So I like to come in and figure something out. And then when it becomes something that's just a maintenance job, that I lose interest pretty quickly. And so I ended up working myself out of a job over and over and thought, well, maybe I could just do the same type of work and keep building things, but building them for someone else. And so I started my company, Top Fox, 9 years ago here in Boulder, Colorado. And we've grown over time from just doing marketing strategy to being the full service agency that we are today.
Perfect. Okay. Well, we are going to talk about things that have gone wrong in your business and what mistakes you've made along the way. But before we do that, let's talk about something that you did right. What did you do right in your business?
Gosh, I think one of the things that we've done right is we have a really solid team. And so and that's also one of the things that we've done wrong. So I'm sure we'll get to that. But I mean, I'm just super proud of my team. They're some of the most high performing people that I've ever worked with. And everybody is so eager to pitch in and solve problems. And we like to say internally that we keep the drama in the work and not the team. We've been this really holistic group of people for a long time. So they're really special to me.
Yeah. And we all know people and process make businesses. So
Yes.
how do you foster, because you're in a creative role in a creative business, like how do you foster that within your company and through your people?
Yeah, I think the biggest way that we foster that kind of culture with us is trust, where I think that what we really try to do is find people who are really good at what they do and give them just the right amount of leash so that they can go be as impactful as they can be without giving them too much that goes awry. The trust component is really large for us on that side, and giving somebody the creative flexibility that they need to do their job better than I can
Right.
is, I think, some of the keys to our success in that area.
And they're not always going to get it perfect.
Nope.
So when things go wrong or a misstep happens, failure happens in your company, what exactly do you do to turn it into a learning opportunity?
Yeah, so on for the biggest failure side, we have to let the person go, which is always unfortunate, but mishires happen. And as I plan to talk to Ken at GCE about at some point, he's graciously helped offered to help us in that area where dialing in the hiring process is a big one. So when you have a mishire, it's learning where that happened within the process, and then dialing in the process to make sure that that doesn't happen again. So that's the largest challenge and the toughest one for us, for sure, because that always sucks. But then, scaling back from that, there's also an opportunity too to just sit down, and we're big fans of early and frequent feedback. And so, just giving that feedback really early and often, and understanding the why behind the reason why something is happening, and trying to correct for that.
Gotcha. Yeah, it makes sense. So as you scaled your company, what challenges have taken you by surprise and how have you handled them? And they could be good challenges. They don't always have to be bad, but we all know when you grow, there's bumps and bruises along the way.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think it's still the hiring piece, right? Because I always thought that the largest challenge would be finding the work. And we've been fortunate enough to have some really great referral partners. And I hustle my butt off when it comes to networking and those types of things. And so we're able to have the growth opportunities from leads and closed business. But I think that the largest challenge has been finding people to actually do the work and vet the right people, and build out a hiring process that results in us finding, identifying, and retaining good people for the right pricing.
Gotcha. And it's a very common thing that we see. And a lot, I mean, you work with
Totally.
a ton of companies, so I'm sure you see it when working with their people even.
Yeah, and Winter, the other thing that I was thinking is I always dreamt about having like a big company where we all come together and we do happy hours and we have like a rowdy lunch breaks and those types of things. But the world has changed quite a bit, and many of the really high quality people that we're finding aren't here in Boulder. And so having a remote team and trying to foster a great culture with a bunch of people that only get to see each other a couple times a year is also a big challenge too,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
a good opportunity at the same time.
Yeah, I understand that. And it's the new work world. It's just where
It
we are
is.
right now. And if you're in any capacity, especially with what you do, you need to have talent where the talent is. It's very unlikely to have it in your backyard like it used to be.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay, let's
absolutely.
shift to your leadership style a little bit. And as a leader, how do you personally handle moments of doubt or uncertainty? Whether it's something you're doing within the company, something you're rolling out, like what do you do as a leader to handle those moments?
First of all, I go for a run because it clears my head. And once I get back from a run, I have a really phenomenal group of people that I can call. So I think the first thing is like identifying the problem, then understanding like what do we then figure, clearing the decks, right? Just like understanding the lay of the land. And then I have a really awesome group of people, from business coaches, Vistage groups, and even clients are sometimes really great resources for us to call and say, listen, you're on the front lines of this and you're seeing it from your point of view. Um, Help me understand how you guys are seeing it so that I can get beyond like this desk and my people to get a little bit more of a bird's eye view for the challenge. And then you make a plan and you execute.
Yeah. So you basically have a board of directors without a board of directors.
Yeah.
You people that
Yeah,
you
you could absolutely say that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And that's probably what a lot of CEOs and visionaries out there, they lean on people for these answers. Sometimes they don't have a centralized place to get this all handled. But
Yeah.
we all do the best we can as we're running these companies. And so how do you maintain a work-life balance?
Well, I just came back from Greece.
How
um,
much how much did you stress about your company when you were in Greece?
Very little, because I have a great team.
Yeah.
So fortunately, like I actually didn't even check in for a week after I left, which was awesome. I have an SOS line, so I know that somebody can, if so, there's a giant fire or hurricane, somebody can reach me. My work-life balance is actually pretty decent. I mean, certainly there's some weeks that I'm up too early in the morning to get a proposal out the door by the time that I said that I would. But that's one of the biggest values I think of having your own company is whenever it kind of starts running away from you, like you just have to remind yourself, like you can choose this. And understanding what the impact of that might be, it might mean that we grow slower than we want to, but I can choose that so that I have a 5 year old who just started kindergarten, and that way I can spend time with him and I can go for my run and I can travel with friends. And I try to remind myself that part of the reason why I'm doing this is to have that flexibility.
Right, right. And it's hard. We all have to remind ourselves along the way. Um,
Yes.
so what are your long-term goals for Top Fox? Where do you see it going? What are your plans?
Gosh. I mean, I think I'd love to triple in the next 5 years. I think that we finally have like a great foundation and process and some of the right people with us for us to be able to do that. I heard a phrase the other day that really resonated with me, which is I want to be big enough that I don't feel the boat rock. Meaning, like, somebody goes on vacation, it doesn't leave the rest of us scrambling. Or if someone chooses to leave us, which has actually never happened with the people we've wanted to keep, then we won't need to send smoke signals for help. I just want to be big enough that the company is self-sustaining in a way.
Yeah. And so with AI and how that's being applied to marketing, I'm sure that's a topic that comes up in your world a lot. Like, where are you headed in your industry with this new element that, is in focus for everyone?
Yeah, it's a great question. And one way that I think is a major differentiator or an opportunity to be a major differentiator for us, we have someone on our team that's dedicated to vetting new AI toolkits and systems. And a lot of the times we have been parallel pathing certain kinds of work in order to be able to stay ahead of that. It has been a minor disruptor right now, but in the next 5 years, it'll be a major disruptor. And so we're preparing for that. And we plan to be something of an AI enabled marketing agency. I would foresee AI always being behind us and never in front of us, but it's definitely something that we're talking about 17 times a day.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, where do you see yourself as a marketing firm investing in resources for growth over the next year? If you want to hit your goal of, tripling within 5 years, what does a marketer do?
Yeah, that's a great question. Um, One is investing in the new technologies and understanding the new ways that those are going to play into not just how we get the work done, but the financial, the business model itself. The other is I've been investing a lot over the past year, and I'll continue to do so in networking and speaking and strategic growth opportunities that involve us expanding our um, recommend like our group of people who recommend us really frequently. And then finally, just dialing in and niching down on the types of people that we find that we're really successful at helping and going deeper with the successes and letting some of the others go, even though some of the others can be fun. If they're not kind of our perfect client, we're going to have to start saying no to some of those things too.
Yeah. And that's the interesting thing about marketing. I've got a passion for it myself, but
Mm,
it's marketing doesn't have to be everything. It could be three just very focused ways to grow, like what you just said. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to be on Insta and Facebook and Twitter, if your audience is coming from LinkedIn. And I think a lot of people feel that they're missing out if they're not in all these places. But if you're in all these places, you might be doing it really poorly as opposed to like doubling down on one place, right?
yes. I mean, it's like if your target market is everybody, your target market is nobody,
Yeah. What's the biggest misconception people have about marketing?
that it's a silver bullet for growth.
Yeah. How do you get around that with clients?
We could probably get around that a lot better, to be honest with you. But I think the main thing is just helping them understand. The analogy that I was using yesterday is I believe it's marketing's job to create a groundswell. an activity and make you look bigger than you are, and bring a lot of credibility to what you're doing, we're a promoter. You still have to be the rock star, especially with professional service-based businesses. We can do the promotion for Taylor Swift. She's still got to show up and play the show, you know? And so I think some of our clients have a tendency to think like, oh, I've hired a marketing agency, everything's going to be fine. And it's like, yeah, sorry, you still have to speak, you still have to network, you still have to like do
Make
your
sale.
job.
Yeah.
You still have to close the business. We're
Yeah.
not the closers.
Yeah.
We can just get more people to the show.
Yeah.
You still have to be the rock star.
Right. Right. So we'll close this out with a couple more questions. If you had to do it all over again, speaking to your younger self,
Mm.
uh behind self, what would be some advice that you would give your younger self?
To trust yourself more, to not doubt where you're headed, to just go for it. I think I spent a lot of time in the early years wondering if I was doing it right.
Yeah.
And I was I was doing fine, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. That perfectionism thing, it gets in a like the type A personality. It's in a lot of
Hmm.
CEOs. It's in myself
Totally.
personally. And sometimes if I just can't do it perfect,
Yeah.
I'll kick it down the line until I can do it perfect. And I had somebody tell me good enough is good enough.
Yeah.
And it really like when it landed for me, it's like, man, okay, so it may not be perfect, but good enough is
Yeah.
good enough when it. So then along those lines, what's one piece of advice you've received as a leader that really helped you along the way?
Well, my business coach told me to trust myself more. That she's like, you're actually really good at this. You know the right, you keep seeking answers outside of yourself, but you know the right thing to do. So just do that thing. And to your point, like, I think a lot of people, the other way to look at it is imposter syndrome. And it's like, don't worry about where your place is in the world. Just do good work and be a good partner for people, and it'll end up working out the way that it's supposed to.
Yeah, I agree. What is one book or resource you would recommend to a CEO or visionary?
Book a resource. Gosh, I've just read so
Besides
much
the Shift
plain
Spotlight
stuff.
podcast.
Yes, of course. The Shift Spotlight podcast. I hear Ken Paskins might be coming out with a book, so I would definitely be looking that up. I mean, I like Traction by Gino Wickman. I think that we don't like run on EOS, but I took a lot of good elements from that book that we've implemented for our weekly meetings and for our, we don't fully run in like an L10 or an annual planning session, but we've taken parts of that out, and it's given us some good framework for how we have those conversations.
Gotcha. Okay, and if somebody wanted to take the next step with you, what would they do?
Well, visit us at topboxmarketing.com and just fill out the contact form. I actually do get all of those emails, and I'd be happy to set up a conversation to see if there's a fit between someone's needs and what we have to offer.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you, Winter.